Hello, my name is Karen from CreativeJewelryMaking.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of these very popular Bali bead and crystal rings. Now these are actually made with elastic cord and they go together very quickly, and they're also a great way to use up some of your odds and ends in your bead stash. Towards the end of the video I'm going to be showing you some other design considerations, and I'm sure that you're going to come up with many ideas on your own as well. I also wanted to give you an idea of what they look like when you're wearing them. So I have one on here, slightly different style, very comfortable to wear. You can make them in all different colors. You'll see how quickly they go together, so you can make many to match your wardrobe as well as for your friends and family. So let's get started. As far as what you're going to need, you're going to need some elastic cord. I have a couple of examples here of brands that are available. This is Bead Elasticity, and I also have this one. I believe that I got this one at Michael's Arts and Crafts. It's called Stretch Magic, and you're going to want to look for one that is 0.8 millimeters in thickness. Now I have seen instruction that indicates that you can use the 0.5 millimeter. I just would not recommend that. I just think that the 0.8 millimeter is much more durable. If you think about it, you know, this is a piece of jewelry that's going to get a lot of stress. So you're going to need the cord. You're also going to need, for the one that we're making, a 6 millimeter Swarovski bicone bead, 2 5 millimeter Swarovski rondelles, 2 Bali beads, and they can be any style as long as the hole is big enough for the cord to get through. And these are optional. You'll just see that I think it adds a little bit more interest to the piece. And 2 3 millimeter silver beads, and 30 to 40 of the 4 millimeter daisy style Bali beads. Whoops, I dropped that one. Let me get another one here. So this is the daisy style. Now it's depending upon the size of the ring you're making. Like I said, you might need 30 to 40, you might need less, you might need more. You're going to have to experiment with that a little bit. So we're going to be making one very much like the one that I showed you earlier when I started off the video. So here's the process for making these rings. First, you're going to cut about a 6-inch piece of the elastic cord. You're then going to take the focal bead, which in this case is the 6 millimeter Swarovski, and you're going to move that to the middle of the cord. Okay? And then you're going to take one of the 5 millimeter Swarovski rondelles and string that onto one side, one of the Bali beads, and one of the 3 millimeter silver beads. So here's what it looks like so far. Then I'm going to take, you could start with 10 of the daisy Bali beads, the 4 millimeter daisy Bali beads. And I'm not going to string this whole thing. I just want to kind of give you the idea, and then I've got one that's almost finished that I'll show you next. So I've got about 5 on here. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here's what we have so far. Okay? So once you get the 10 or 12 Bali beads on one side, then you can switch to the other side and put the 5 millimeter Swarovski, the Bali bead, and the 3 millimeter silver bead, and then 10 more of the daisy Bali beads. What you're going to end up with is a piece that looks like this. And what I would recommend that you do at this point is, if it's for yourself, I would try, putting it on your finger and see how you think it's going to feel. You don't want it to be too tight, but you don't want it to be too loose either. So you might need to add some Bali beads, take some off. If it's for a friend, you're going to want to use like a ring sizer or something to measure this. Once you get this piece together, then what you're going to do is tie a surgeon's knot. And as you probably recall, a surgeon's knot is you first tie in one direction and then you tie in the other direction. So you go forward in one tie and then you go around in the other direction to tie the knot, to make sure that it ends up being nice and secure. So I've got that. I'm going to tie that nice and tight. Now don't pull too hard. You might actually, if you pull really hard, you might actually end up breaking the string. But you do want to tie it or pull on it so that it's tight enough and it makes a secure knot. Now what I usually do is I actually go one more time, because I just want this to be really secure. You don't want this breaking and having all those Bali beads all over the floor. That could be quite a scramble. So I go one more time with that knot, and then you're going to take this GS Hypo Cement. This is something that is often used for jewelry making as well as other hobbies, and you're going to put a couple of dabs of that right onto the knot. So I'll put a couple dabs. Now and I would not skip this step. This is a very important step because that knot could very easily come out, and that would not be a good situation if that knot comes out. Now you're going to want to let this dry. You're not going to want to trim these tails off until that glue has dried. So I'm going to put this off to the side. I do have another one here where I've already put the glue on and it's already dried. So I'm just cutting right up to the edge of that knot, trimming that nice and close without cutting into the knot. And that is it. That's all there is to it. So here's an example of a ring where I used a semi-precious stone and I put some rondelets around that stone. I'm going to show you some other examples here. Here's one where I used a check glass crystal. You can see the nice reflection there, and included a Bali bead here, but then I used daisy beads that did not have the oxidized effect. This is just the plain silver effect. So I've got the oxidized bead here, plain silver here, just kind of adds a little bit more interest to that piece. Here's another one where I put the 6mm Swarovski in the middle, surrounded that by the 5mm rondelets, but then I used a 4mm, 3mm, and 2mm silver bead, so it kind of goes from large to small to frame out that focal bead. And just the opposite on this one, I used small, a 2mm and then a 3mm to frame out that focal. So you can go either direction with these. And then here's a completely different one. This is where I used all different color Swarovskis, 4mm Swarovskis, and put a 6mm clear crystal one in the middle. So you can see you can use round, you can use bicone, you can even use square Swarovskis. Just experiment, have fun with it. And if you don't like the effect, it's so quick you can just take it apart and make one that you do like. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions at Karen@creativejewelrymaking.com, and have a great day.